Without further ado, uh, go ahead. I would love. We're ready.
Okay, I really don't even know where to start. Humble beginnings, to say the least. Um, I'm from San Antonio, and I'm actually not far from where I actually grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're at the
East
Barbara
side.
Jordan on the east side,
Mm-hmm.
and we're on Commerce Street, correct?
Commerce Street.
And so I actually, when my mom was a teenage mom, she gave birth to me, and she lived in the New Light Village, which is right up the street. And so it has a new name now. I don't know what it's called now, but um, during like my middle, no, elementary school, I was about 10 until 10. I lived in the Rigsby Courts, and so my mom was a single parent, and she did the best that she could to take care of us. She struggled with some things, and a lot of people didn't know what she struggled with.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
it was difficult. My mom had three children. She has, has she passed away in 2019,
Okay.
and so there was three of us, and we were in poverty, living
Mm-hmm.
in on government
Mm-hmm.
housing and things like that. And I saw my mom go through a lot of things, mostly alone, and she suffered. She suffered, and it's kind of hard because when I think of my mother, I love my mother so much,
Yeah.
and the relationship that we had,
Yeah.
it helped me be the person that I am today. So I won't complain.
Yes. Okay.
I won't complain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go into my story a little in a minute, but
Mm-hmm.
one of the things, the biggest takeaway, and I'll come back to this later. The biggest takeaway in my story is that no matter what your beginning is, no matter how difficult it may seem, you can take everything that you've been through, and that can be your greatest testimony to greatness
Yeah.
if you choose to do the work.
Yeah.
Being scarred, or having trauma, or being poor as a child, or not having a dad, or not having your mother in your life, whatever your situation was, yeah, we can go through things that can affect us in the long run, but once we realize that childhood traumas affected us, it's then our responsibility. Once we articulate, once we say that we're an adult, it's our responsibility to say, you know what, I have some things to work on.
Yes.
And when I work on these things, then I can take those same things and show other people, be the change in the world. So, yes,
Mm.
we went through a lot. And ultimately, at the age of, I ran away from home twice.
Right. What you say, I had a thought and I
Sure,
guess
yeah,
it
yeah.
went away.
Uh-huh.
Um, Being that growing up sometimes in the household that we are secret, we have to keep secrets.
Oh,
So there are whole generations of bondage.
absolutely.
You know, some people are till they die. And so with the Wounded Rose series,
Mhm,
we are trying to, okay, I grew up in this.
mhm,
I knew a little bit about Oprah's story,
mhm,
but I didn't know the in-depth
mhm.
part of giving birth in an alley
Of course.
and then the baby
Of
dying
course. Yeah.
and then and the way she released him.
Mhm.
So that was told to me last week, and so I was like, what are we going to do with this Wounded Rose?
Exactly.
So okay.
Exactly.
So
Thank you.
you are saying that I took, okay, this is what I dealt
This is
with.
the takeaway.
Okay, I can do it again because of course you got pregnant young, as like she did. So it was heading
Mhm,
towards that.
mhm,
And then whatever animosity, or if there was anything she felt against you as a woman, because sometimes in the household
mhm,
with the sickness,
mhm,
the mother may be envious of the daughter. It's an
mhm,
illness that sometimes,
mhm,
and son, and son too, they see that they can do better, so they don't want them to do better because of the sickness, the
Wow.
illness.
Wow. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So I've seen that as well.
Mhm.
So you said you took that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. And so, as far as like having my daughter young, I was 20, going on 21 when I had my daughter.
Okay. So
But this generational cycle
the
did
mindset too.
the mindset, because there's a lot of little phrases that people use that,
Mhm.
if you knew better, you'd do better.
Yeah, and that's just a cliche.
It sounds cliche, but it's true.
Uh-huh.
Like, if you really did know better, and so I think that
Mhm.
a lot of times we get so caught up in the cliches that we really don't
Mhm.
explain what that means.
Right. And that's the church too, huh? So like we learn those Bible verses. But what does it really mean?
Exactly.
Huh?
Give me
Yes.
some depth to what you're saying.
Yes, and how is it going to help me going through this butt whooping that I'm
Exactly.
getting from the streets?
Exactly.
Huh?
Exactly. So we can't take things for face value, especially when we're talking to young people. We have to explain to them in detail so they understand. And then you're going to have to explain again. And then they're going to have to learn lessons. But
Mhm.
the idea is
And
to
see it.
and to see it. Yeah,
To
absolutely.
see it, because
Absolutely.
don't that whole saying too.
Exactly.
Don't do what I say, don't do what I do, but do
Exactly.
what I say.
Exactly.
But you're doing it.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's confusing, and it's a ball of confusion.
Exactly. So
So
we're not looking at, like, young people, they don't look at, they don't really listen to what you say.
mm-mm,
They do what you do. They
they
copy
do.
what you do.
They-
They
Yes.
yeah, they respond to life according to what you equip them with.
Yes.
So I did have my daughter at 20, going on 21 years old,
Okay.
and I wasn't ready to have a child.
Yeah.
Um, as a matter of fact, I the depth to that, the problem in that is because, one, I didn't know what type of man to be with, right? So we'll get into that another time.
Yeah.
I really didn't know. I didn't know what I wanted. And we don't really teach our young people to protect their bodies. I wasn't really trying to not have a child, but her father was the only person that I was with.
Right.
And so the church told me, you know what, since y'all been playing house, I met him when I was about 17,
Mm-hmm.
and we were homeless for a long time. And so we were homeless buddies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Homeless buddies. Hey. And we see it too. We see that. And the dog. The dog is like, how did I get caught in this?
Exactly, exactly. So we were homeless buddies, and then the next thing I know, there was a baby in the mix, and so things had to change, and I decided to be that change.
Wow. So, so what's that look like when it was time for the baby? Because you were homeless, pregnant.
I lived in the shelter. As a matter of fact, I ran away from home twice. The second time I didn't go back because things at home were so bad, and I didn't have a voice.
Yes.
And so those secrets that you're talking about,
They were happening.
they were happening, and you don't get to, who do you tell?
Right.
Who do you tell? And then when I did try to tell, I got in more trouble.
Yeah.
And so I ran away when I was 14.
So I want to go back to that part
Mhm.
because see, that's where we have a lot of our kids out on the streets,
Mhm.
and because of we go and we talk to someone that we supposedly trust, our parents.
Mhm.
We're supposed to be able to have that relationship. We're supposed to,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? But sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
But then that person turns against you
Exactly.
and say you're a liar.
Huh.
And then the man is like, I told you.
Mhm.
And so it's a battle. It's a battle. And then you run away. You get out.
Absolutely.
Or you may have more. If you're scared to run away, you may get pregnant again and again and again.
Exactly.
And hating your mother or hating your dad, whoever, hate comes in.
Mm.
Fear and hate run together.
Yeah. You know what? At no point I never hated my mother. I would cry
Yes.
because I didn't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah.
I couldn't, I wasn't allowed to articulate this to family because I felt like they weren't going to listen anyway. I felt like no one wanted to rescue me. And so we were raised in the church very heavily, and we
Mhm.
were told God is going to fix it. God did not fix it.
No.
I had to leave,
Yeah.
right? And it's,
So.
you know what? Yeah, there was there was so much, but
Mhm.
I had to leave, and a lot of things happened to me.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, is it better in the streets or you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I would cry, and I would ask God, God, why is it, why is this happening to me? I wasn't angry with my mother. I was hurt because I didn't understand.
That I'm supposed to be protected. You knew that you're supposed to be protected.
I knew
Someone needs to.
someone right.
Yeah.
It didn't feel good. I
Uh-huh.
didn't know what was,
Mhm.
you know.
So, are you saying that one of the boyfriends and her boyfriends in the house is touching you,
Well,
or having
mom,
I mean,
yeah. So my
inappropriate?
mom wasn't the kind of person that had men running in and out of the house, but yeah, one of,
Mm-hmm.
someone she was married to did when I was real young,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
so yeah,
And
and
so
so
that leads back to us in our, because I'm a woman in dating, just um, want what I want,
Mhm,
but not really seeing that whole package of that. What type of man is this that you're going to bring around
mhm,
my family?
mhm,
We know the outside package when we're young,
mhm,
fine, what I mean? But we don't know who this person really is that we're bringing around our family, and now we're learning that a lot of men were pedophiles,
mhm,
what I mean? Both with women and boys,
mhm.
what I mean? We know even in the church, there were pedophiles in the church. There were people that harm us in the church.
Yeah.
So, like she's saying right now, that this is going to hopefully release someone that we really need to be careful who we bring around our, I'll say children, because we're talking about that
Exactly.
now, but around our family, period.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. And so it's not just, the guy, my mom was married to him.
hmm
Um, and he wasn't my biological father. I actually, according to my mother, was a product of a rape.
yes,
So, yeah, she, when she decided to keep me, and, she was young, so she didn't know what to do, and
right,
she did her best. But one of those hush hush things in our community is also mental health issues.
yes, yeah,
And
oh yeah,
so we've also, I see it changing now. I do see it changing because the younger generations, and even with myself, the way I disciplined my child, I had to learn how to.
yes,
But a lot of the ways that the older generations were taught to discipline their children were in the same manner that they were disciplined in slavery.
yes, whoopings, yes, the whooping.
Beatings,
hmm
not whoopings.
Yeah, yeah, go figure.
Not whoopings. Like
Which is a mental thing
the,
too.
this right here,
Yeah,
this cord. That's not a belt.
yeah,
You don't hit your children with something that's going to break their skin.
yes,
It goes from disciplining them
yes,
to beating them.
right.
That's abuse. That's abuse.
Yes.
It's torture. You don't do
Mhm.
that. And so, learning how to communicate to our children is something in our community that absolutely has to be done. And so there were several different aspects to why I left home, not just what happened to me
Right.
when the man touched me. There were other things too.
Yeah.
And so,
So what's that look like though? Are you able to talk? I mean, would you
you
want
know,
to talk about that yet? Or
there's going to be a book.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
At some point, and so I'm actually working on the book. So there's going to be a book, and so the, the the very delicate thing about this is that, like I said, I'm not angry at anyone.
Right. That's awesome. That's
I'm not.
because you've healed.
I've.
hmm
I'm still in the healing process. It's
hmm
just that I understand. I understand what it looks like not to have a community of people to teach you how to be a parent.
hmm Right. The village, like it
The
used to be in
village.
Africa. Like the way we grew up with well, the way some of us grew up with Big Mama and all
Mhm.
that, and so you were able to be disciplined.
Exactly.
Um, I wanted to kind of go back to about the part about the discipline and all that.
Mhm.
And I was wondering if it could be something to do with our kids, murder us, our race killing
Oh,
each other because
exactly.
because of the violence.
Of course.
When you get a whooping, it's mental to go and pick. I grew up in California, but in the summer we get sent to the summer to Alabama.
Mm.
So that was like culture shock, first of all, too. But the things to go pick your own switch
Mhm.
is mental. I mean,
That
a
is,
tiny one or a big one
that's
for a kid.
torture. That's
That's
torture.
that's
It's
traumatic.
psychological.
It's psychological. But then after you get used to it, then you build up a tolerance.
Mhm.
So I think the younger kids, when we beat when we grow up getting beat, and then you do it and you do it, you become tolerable to pain.
Exactly.
And so I think, could that be the
Exactly.
breakdown because of the violence that we received in the home?
Mhm.
Because we kill each other.
Exactly.
They're saying they don't really have to kill it. The cops are doing it too, but
Mhm.
we're killing
Absolutely.
our own self as well.
Mentally, spiritually,
Uh-huh.
physically. And so
Mm-hmm.
part of my journey to becoming who I am now is I wanted to do something different. And so I've gone through so much, so much.
Mm-hmm.
Being a homeless 14-year-old, grown men don't let you stay with them for free.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot to that. And so
Yes.
when I left home at 16, I didn't go back home. I was 16 going on 17. I didn't go back home because at that point, going back home when I was 14, after,
Mm-hmm.
I was forced to go back home because I was a minor. Um, when I went back home, I got beat again. And I'm like, when I left home the first time, I had black eyes and welts all over my body. And not just welts,
Yeah.
scars,
Mm-hmm.
scars, deep scars, and physical scars. And so the day that I chose to run away from home when I was 14, there was a situation at home. You didn't clean adequately or whatever. Beating your child bloody
Yeah.
is not that doesn't justify you know that type of discipline. And so the day that I left home, I had gotten beaten so bad that I had blood coming out of my tear ducts.
Oh.
And so I was just like, I can't, I can't. And so ultimately, the hardest part for me, even in this interview, is that I don't want to demonize my mom.
Right. I know I can feel the reservation.
Exactly,
I can feel the
exactly.
reservation, and she was in pain, and
Yeah,
she took her pain out on
exactly,
you, and then the beatings. That's what that was all about.
exactly,
Just beating the you out of her,
exactly,
beating her out of you.
exactly.
You know what
She
I
told
mean?
me that's how she was raised.
Yeah.
So, she passed away in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And I honor my mother. I love her so much.
Yes.
Like I really, really do. We didn't have the relationship that I wish we had.
Yes.
And I would try, and I think she would try in her own way, but words like I love you and hugs and
Mm-hmm.
that,
Scared her.
it
Probably.
started happening like a couple of years before she died. And I didn't know who that person was because she still hadn't let go of the person that she was before. So I would come in and, try to catch glimpses of that mom I always wish I had.
Yes.
And then the old one would show up. And so then I'd have to back up. You know what I mean? Or she just pushed me away altogether. And it didn't feel good, but that's what I had. You know what I mean? I love her. I love her. I really do. But I don't.
Okay. So, what? I know that's we're not trying to
I
demonize. We're
know.
not put
I
anything
know.
like.
Yeah.
I know that you said that you got pregnant and
Uh-huh.
you was homeless, and then you decided to we need a place, or how's that?
Okay.
Like how's
Yeah, I was okay. So we were homeless buddies. we met at a job that I worked at.
Mhm.
And so we just followed each other around all the time. And,
Mhm.
you know, he was my boyfriend, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
Somebody.
together in a
Mhm.
relationship. So we tried to have an apartment. We didn't know, neither one of us knew how to pay bills or keep a job. So we kept losing places to stay.
Right.
You know, we didn't have anybody to go stay with.
Mhm.
Now, I did have, you know, an aunt that let us stay for a short period of time, but she had her own family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that was a temporary situation. So when I found out I was pregnant, my daughter's dad and myself went to go stay in a shelter. And I was, at this point, I was bitter at him because I
Yeah.
was like, he was a little older than me.
Yeah.
And I
Well.
was, yeah, I'm like, you are supposed to be taking care of me. Why am I homeless with your child? And you seem to be okay with that, you
Right.
know? And we did get an efficiency apartment, and he did start working at a corner store. And, you know, his medical insurance helped to bring my daughter into the world. So that was good. He tried, but
Mhm.
what ended up happening is that he had some issues that he was dealing with too.
Yeah.
And so obviously I had issues that I was dealing with too
Yeah.
from being raised in an abusive atmosphere
Mhm.
by a parent who also had mental health issues.
Okay. And so that's the secret.
That's the secret.
And that's
That's
the
the
thing
secret.
that we run and we disappear and we disappear and we
Mhm.
disappear. We don't talk
And
about
we're not allowed
like
to
what
talk about
happened.
it.
Yeah, what happened to? Oh, they my uncle. He's always been so weird,
Mhm.
but he's suffering now. I mean, he's never been weird. He's had mental illness all
Exactly.
this time. He got put out of the military, but we didn't know why. You know, and so what? You know, but now we know why he's been suffering and hiding and being pushed under the carpet for all this
Mhm.
long. So when did you realize um, that issue? Like, when did that pop up? Like,
The
something's not
mental
right.
health issue,
Mm-hmm.
when I had to go to court with her for her disability.
Mm-hmm.
I knew someone right, but I had to go, and they had diagnosed her with a mental health issue, a couple of mental health issues.
Issues.
That I don't like disclosing that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I'm not.
No.
I'm disclosing it now because these are conversations that we need to have in our community. You know, we sweep things under the rug, and
Yes.
I would like to also add that, you know, you gave the example of like a person. You know, we know that family member has mental health issues, and we just kind of, you
Mm-hmm.
know, sweep it
Sweet.
under the rug. But mental health issues, and I'm no licensed professional, but I've been doing this line of work as far as holistic.
Yes. Holistic.
And
Yeah.
so that's what ended up happening. I ended up, at this point, I'm studying to be a holistic practitioner, and I do a lot of holistic things. So that's another part of the journey because
Yeah.
I knew that something had to change, and it had to start with me. So, but
Are you able
mental,
to talk about the when you notice,
Mhm.
like what happened to get? I mean, I know a lot. I know
Mhm.
the story, but are you able to talk about one of the incidents that made you realize, wait a minute, there's something not right?
I didn't understand why mom was always angry.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like, but as an adult and a parent, I understand that when you have to provide for children that you can't provide for, you have bills to pay, and there's something that just won't let you burst through that income,
Yeah. Yes.
you know.
It's
And so she wasn't.
entity.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It was exactly, it was an entity. It was mental health.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it was her mental health diagnosis. But
Mhm.
mental health diagnosis, we put too much emphasis on, oh, they have a mental health problem. It doesn't
Mhm.
start off as a mental health problem. It starts off as a spiritual health problem
Mhm.
by way of trauma. That's usually how
Mhm.
mental health problems in a lot of people
Mhm.
begin, from
Yeah.
trauma, childhood trauma, or some
Mhm.
type of trauma. And
Tucked
especially,
away, huh?
Mhm.
Keep them
Especially
away.
when it's prolonged, at some point it manifests itself in some kind of way.
Yeah, in some kind of
In
way.
some
That's a
kind
good.
of way.
That's it's gonna come out.
It's
It's
gonna come
gonna
out.
come out because
Exactly.
it's a war between the well, I won't say good and evil, but it's in the war within the flesh. You
Exactly.
know that there's something not right here because the body wants to to go to do what it was manifest to do.
Exactly.
And then there's this war right here. So that's so you said that when you had your daughter and there was a diagnosis,
Mhm.
did you have an incident with your daughter? Was there any incident that you realized, okay, this is bigger than I thought?
What do you mean?
Um, were there any incidents, for, um, well, I dated, I won't say married because, my story is number seven. But I've been around a scenario where the person had been hiding those personalities. I mean, his mental illness is schizophrenia.
Uh-huh.
So there's different personalities that present themselves to me, and he knows it, but he hides. He knows how to, I guess, control them to the point. Did you discover anything like that
With myself
Mhm.
or with
With your daughter, when you said was she diagnosed?
no? So my mother is
Mother,
my
okay.
mother was diagnosed, and then with my daughter, as and to be completely honest, I noticed when she was little that I started to respond to her the way that my mother would respond to me. And the first time that I had spanked her and she actually had like a scar on her,
Mm-hmm.
it really bothered me.
Yeah.
And
Did you give you flashbacks?
I had flashbacks. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I came to the conclusion that I didn't want to do that to my child.
Yes.
And so then I started seeking means on how to be a parent.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, on
That's
how to be
beautiful.
a better parent. And no one forced me to do it.
Yeah.
I did it on my own,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
beautiful.
proactivity, being proactive and accountable.
That's beautiful. Because there is a way. Like actually, my dad was he talked, and that I didn't. Even, I'd rather get a whooping than to talk. So that means talking was very, very effective. You know what I mean? I was like, oh Lord, Mama come whoop because Mama grew up in the South and she whooped you. You know, I mean, well, beat you, not whooped. Huh? So she grew up in the South. That's the way she grew up, and so speaking and talking and sitting down in love is very effective.
It is.
Huh.
It is.
Good.
And I'm not okay. So as a parent,
Yes.
okay, and what I learned because I ended up, let's see, I can't recall exactly what the, you know, how it ended up happening, like the sequence of how it happened.
Yes.
But I was working in a daycare. I worked in a couple of daycares, and I know that my foundation in the church that I was going to back then definitely helped a lot because they spoke. As a matter of fact, the name of that church was Family Praise Center, and the pastor was Rick Hawkins, and he is
Okay.
an amazing person.
Yes.
He instilled a lot of the foundational truths to understanding
Foundational truth.
the kingdom of God,
Mm-hmm.
and to I can't even express I can't even express how much that man imparted to me. And I was under him for about 7 years.
Oh,
And
that's
so that taught me a lot. Just the name Family Praise, he talked a lot about, you know, family stuff. And so I was like, okay, so I need to make sure that I'm protecting my legacy. And I was young. I was like 22.
yeah.
You know what
That's
I mean?
awesome.
22 with no guidance, no
Mhm.
community, nobody was teaching me anything.
Mm.
And so I figured it out to the
Yeah.
best of my ability.
To the best of your ability. Wow. So how would you say, I don't know if we're hopping, are we hopping or are we,
We could,
okay.
whatever you want to ask, I'm at your disposal.
Yes, well, so we know that we have a problem in our community with the secrecy of mental health.
hmm
Um, so what would you tell somebody who may be married to or dating children that's suffering from that? Because it's an up and down life. I mean, if they don't get help, if no one gets help, then this it's just like that. So what do you suggest?
Well,
Mhm.
so the first thing that I would suggest is that with full transparency,
Mhm.
I would say start with self because
Mhm.
ultimately, all of the things, the rapes, the abuse, the homelessness, the fear, the PTSD, the all the stuff
Mhm.
that has transpired over the years that I had to um, internalize and keep to myself because I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't know who to talk to about it. It weighed on me. And so here's another part of that. What happens, you know, when spiritual trauma, right? Spiritual dis-ease becomes it makes yes it makes
Mhm.
it makes it into a mental
Mhm.
dis-ease, you know, mental health issue.
Mhm.
So what happens is you can only take so much. It's like pouring water into a vessel, into a
Mhm.
cup,
Mhm.
right?
Fill
You
it up.
keep pouring, 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 and eventually it's going to spill over,
Right.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And
Mhm.
so for me,
Mm.
my spillover manifested itself in depression and um, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
you know, insomnia,
Mhm.
PTSD, like panic attacks and things like that.
Mhm.
So the first thing I would say to answer your question is to start with yourself,
Sure.
right?
Awesome. Yes.
Because a lot of times we allow people into our lives based on how we see ourselves.
That's right. That's right. So it's okay to take down the mask, but I mean, the thing is fear, the fear of being put or laughed at or talked about or feeling less than. So if you start with yourself and saying that you're okay, I'm okay, I'm going to get help with this because you're not the only one.
Exactly.
You know, you know, we keep it a secret, but the secret's out now. So to live better, to be better, starts with
Self.
so starts with self first,
Yes.
and then once you're whole, because I mean that's what you have to be whole to be able to give wholeness, then you seek help for the person that you're with in your relationship, you know.
So for me, what I had to do, because I ended up internalizing that being mistreated was okay, right?
Right. Keyword mistreated is not okay, but she internalizing that it's a part of love. And we learned that
Exactly.
that being mistreated, that's domestic violence.
Mhm.
That being mistreated is love. When he slaps me or if he hits me or if my kid does this or whatever, they love me. But that's an emotion too that you just pick up because you're grasping for any emotion when you're living in a household that there's so much fear. So any emotion you grab onto, and it's not always a positive emotion, huh?
You know what? One of the things that people also use as abuse is the silent treatment.
Yeah.
And that was one of the that
Yeah.
was one of the things that I grew up with.
Hmm.
And
Ignored.
please, please, I'm sorry, please talk to me, please, I'm sorry. And so that's what ended up happening. And so people will manipulate you by doing that. That's a
Mhm.
form of abuse. And so we have
Being ignored. I'm
being
gonna ignore you right there in front of you.
exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And it hurts more when it's your parents.
It does. Yes, and it hurts more when ignoring. I mean, they can scream and holler or whatever, but to be sitting right beside you and ignore you
Mhm.
is like a wound, stabbing a wound, but nobody else sees.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. So first asking yourself if you're okay. Am I okay? And then getting the help for self first, right? And so when it's a loved one though,
Yeah.
right? You identify, okay,
Hmm.
I did something. I allowed this person into my space who didn't deserve me, right?
Yeah, that's it.
This person is suffering from an you know, mental health issue or
Hmm.
whatever they have going on, then that's when you say, how much do I love myself in this moment? I
That's
love this
good.
person, but how
Yeah.
much do I love myself?
That's good. That's good because that's how much you're going to allow. I guess the challenges that you go through, the extra, it's on you. So okay. I don't love myself that much. Well, we don't really say that, but to take on an abuse, you really don't love yourself to the fullest. But you're looking for that empty to fill that empty spot, and so that void is someone who actually knows that about you too. They're, oh, she's weak in this or he's weak in this. They pick it out, they know it.
Exactly.
And so when you're finally strong, then they pull that trump card again. Well, you this, I'm gonna tell everybody about this or whatever that is, and then you're back. But once you, like you said, how much do I love myself?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How much do I love myself?
Myself.
So that's where it starts, you
That's where
know.
again, it
Mhm.
goes back to self. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
So I've, you know, when it comes to being with a loved one who has a mental health issue, you can only take so much, you know, and I'm a very loyal person.
yeah.
So when you're with someone who has mental health issues and they don't want to acknowledge them, um, and I did everything that I could in situations where I was like, okay, honey,
Mhm.
something's not right. Like you're lashing
Well,
out. Yes,
oops.
ma'am.
Yeah, let's go back to that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about being in a relationship where the partner
Mhm.
has mental health issues. So we're going to go back because that's another form, that's domestic violence as well. If they don't want to get help, if they have issues um, that happen periodically once a week or whatever, and they don't want to get help, and you're constantly going in and out, that's domestic
Mhm.
violence. So,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
mhm.
So holding them accountable, definitely. If it's someone you really care about, which I don't think we get into relationships with people that we don't really care about,
Right,
but
right. What we
know,
think.
you
Mhm,
you can. In my situation in the past,
mhm.
I did everything that I could, like leave pamphlets laying around.
Yeah. Oh, hint,
um,
hint. Yeah. But what if
um,
they can't? Well, I won't say that.
yeah, I
But
know.
yeah.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Ooh.
and so to navigate through any issues that they may have, understanding whatever's on the pamphlet.
Yes.
Honey, did you ever think? Have you heard of so and so? Like, you know what I mean? This says if you're having trouble sleeping, it could be insomnia. It could be making you angry. It may be a lack of sleep. You know what I mean? Just kind of
Right.
work it in, like
Yes.
just kind of ushers in,
Tiptoe.
and then a lot of times people, and it doesn't have to be a male or a female, it could be either, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
this
Yes.
isn't just for men,
Yes. All women.
but
Yeah.
women too. Men go through these things just as much as women. No, not just as much,
Yes.
but
Mhm,
men go through these types of things too, where they may be dealing with a partner with mental health issues,
mhm.
severe mental health issues,
Yeah.
because things like depression, like you can take a pill for that,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Well, I know. I mean, it goes both ways because I have a brother, and so he does. We all have that. His one girlfriend, and it's just like, oh my god, we were all scared of her when
Uh-huh.
she was. Oh, I'm so glad he got rid of her. But
Oh,
yeah, I know. As a kid, we didn't know. I mean, as a teenager,
yeah, yeah.
she was. I'm just gonna say, crazy Mary.
Oh no.
Mary, oh my God, where's your brother? I mean,
Uh-huh.
we'd be like, "Ugh," she
Yeah.
chased him down. He never could have another girlfriend. He was blah, blah, blah. But it was mental, we didn't know
Yeah.
it was mental illness
Exactly.
until she's better now because she recognized it.
Mhm.
Someone recognized it. She got put in the hospital and
Mhm.
then she is totally different.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Every time I see someone that has mental health issues, the first thing I think is what happened to them
Mm-hmm.
that caused them to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that,
Trauma
that
again.
exactly. I know the field of medicine says that
Mm-hmm.
it's a chemical imbalance, but what
Mm-hmm.
comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Right, right.
Does the trauma cause the chemical imbalance, or is it
Mhm.
the chemical imbalance cause the?
From. No,
Uh-huh.
I think that there's some trauma that sometimes we hide so much and hold so much until it caused us off balance. Because remember, the body is always trying to be in a state of balance.
Exactly.
So that's what that whole thing is, that war, and then all of a sudden there's some, it's not, it needs some medicine to get it back into that,
Yeah.
the perfection in which God made it.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah. So, there are agencies that help people with mental health uh, disorders. I think United Way has in San Antonio,
Mhm.
211 is a
211.
good resource to
Yes.
call, and they help with a lot of community service endeavors. And they can point you to an organization that it goes on a sliding scale. So if you
Yes.
don't have insurance and things like that. So make sure you take care of yourself. Like
Yes.
this show wasn't all about depression or anything, but a lot of people are suffering right now because
Yes.
they've been through so much life stuff.
Life
And
stuff and the
so,
holidays. Remember, this is the holiday times too, and sometimes people don't feel worthy. I mean, it's supposed to be getting together with your family.
mhm,
You've been hiding all week or all month, all year, getting through, and then these holidays come.
exactly.
And a lot of people either go, sometimes they go and shoot up places,
Yeah.
sometimes they suicide, walk in front of a bus. So right now, what would you say to someone who has finally, God has, we are supposed to talk about this.
Yeah.
We weren't going to talk about this,
Okay.
but we're talking about it because, it's God led.
Exactly.
So maybe someone's watching
Exactly.
that we are, live,
Mhm.
edited, but somebody may be watching in the spirit or whatever, and just like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. I felt that way before,
Mhm.
but God always carried me through.
Mhm.
What would you say to that person? It's like, oh my God, I'm just so tired of this. I mean, this is just too much. We know it's too much. Look what we went through, even just to get to the couch.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And so that's how you know when you're
doing something.
Woo, my wonderful, that man that I mentioned,
Yes.
Pastor Rick Hawkins. I think he's Bishop Hawkins now, but he had given us an analogy one time that if the devil isn't coming against you, you might want to look next to you because he's probably walking side by side with you.
Oh, and you walking with
You walking with him if he ain't coming against you.
You a road dog.
Y'all best friends. You might want to switch
Oh.
something up. But so yeah, it took a lot for us to do this, to get to this sofa today, because the enemy, and there are enemies, and every religious belief system believes in an enemy,
Yes.
right?
Oh,
So that
yes.
opposing dark force did not want you to get this message, but you're here today,
Yes.
hearing it, and so this is a divine appointment. So
Mhm.
I would say to someone who is battling,
Yeah.
right, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, um, better days are ahead if
Oh.
you just stay the course. Okay.
Mhm.
I did attempt suicide a couple of times,
Mhm.
and it got so bad because one of the tools of the enemy, and we're seeing that a lot lately, is isolation.
Mhm.
When you don't feel like
That's
you
right.
have a sense of community, or you're trying to hide things
Mhm.
that you don't want other people to know about you, you're depressed, you're
Mhm.
this, you're that. The enemy waits till you're alone to tell you that nobody loves you, no one cares about you.
Yeah.
And okay, it might look like that, right? But we have the ability to identify people. And I'm praying for whoever is listening to this. If you don't have somebody that you feel like you can identify readily, like I said before, I know that there are United Way numbers. If you know that you suffer from depression and things like that, in between depression episodes, make sure that you have a contact number to an agency at least, because a lot of people do these things on the, as a volunteer.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Suicide is never an option. Don't do it.
Mhm.
Don't do it, because what I would like to share with you is that we were not born by accident. I feel like we were sent here for such a time as this to be the change that we need to see in the world.
That's right.
There's a lot of chaos going on around us.
Mhm.
And if you give up, your gift goes with you, and we need your gift.
Yes.
God sent you here for a reason. And if the enemy can stop you from operating in the divine gift that was assigned to you,
Yes.
every person that was assigned to you now does not get to hear your story of how you recovered, how you overcame the depression, the mental health issues, the abandonment, the not having your mother or father, or growing up in foster care, or whatever your story is. Your story counts.
Yes.
Your story counts.
Your story counts. Then you are loved. You are loved because you can hug yourself and you can say, I am loved. Even though that entity, the devil, is in your head saying no one wants you, you're this, that's why you're alone, they're this, that's why, that's why, that's why. And then you give it back. That's why I'm loved. I love myself.
Exactly.
I love myself.
Exactly.
I love myself.
Exactly.
And so you can take control even today, even this moment, that you can take control and say, I love myself. You may not love me, and it doesn't look like I am loved, but I love myself. I love myself. And that does not look stuck up. That doesn't look selfish. But you have to be able to love yourself and step out, kick it away, shake it away. I'm loved.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Um, one of the tools that I've been using in my meditation practice, every time I start to have like a negative thought or feeling, especially the feeling of being alone or unloved,
Yes.
I quiet my mind and I go within myself
Mm.
and I think about a person that I love a whole lot,
Yes.
right? My favorite person,
Hmm.
the person that I would do absolutely anything for,
Yes.
or my dog, you know,
Hmm.
just something. People love their animals a whole lot. They
Yes.
love some the love feeling is what I want you to key in on, and this is what I
Yes.
key in on. The feeling that you feel about someone else.
Right.
That amount of love that you give to other people, I focus on that and I'm like, you know what? I really love that person. And then I tell myself, I am that person. And I put that feeling back into
Oh,
myself.
turn
I
it.
channel it
Uh-huh.
back into myself. And so it does
That's
help
awesome.
to make me not feel unloved or lonely. Or if I'm sad, I think of
Mhm.
something that really makes me happy. And I invoke the happiness feeling.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So you take control, you close your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and you think about the person that you love so much and you
Mm-hmm.
enjoy being around and the things, and then flip it.
Exactly.
And then you're it.
But the person that you like and that's accountable, not the person who broke your heart. Don't think about them
Yeah,
because it's
not
going
the
to be
broken ones.
counterproductive.
Yeah, not the.
Think about the one that's loyal and
Yes.
fuzzy and the baby that you're like, oh my God, the
Or,
baby.
or even the puppy. The
Or
puppy
the
that's
puppy.
always in with the puppy breath. Huh? Puppy breath.
Yes.
Always in your face and whatever. So think about all those little things. And if you've never experienced, you have to create it
Mm-hmm.
because words are powerful.
Exactly.
So when you say, I am loved, I am loved, I am loved, and maybe you don't know Jesus, but you can say, because we would say, Jesus loves me, Jesus, Jesus, calling on the name of Jesus. But if you don't know a Jesus, you can say, I am loved, I am loved, and just try it and meditate on saying, I am loved, I am loved, I love myself, I love myself, huh?
Oh,
So,
that's a hard one.
mm-hmm.
Look at when
Ooh,
I
I
ran.
know.
Okay, so when I finally got to the point where I was learning how to do affirmations,
Mm-hmm.
and by the way, going to therapy helps.
Yeah, and there, but you know what? I love myself because sometimes you can't look at yourself because you think that you're not this and not that. But to hear it, see, the ears are still listening. The word is, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. You still hear it.
There's a I go to YouTube for a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually an affirmation that loops for like 3 hours or so.
Uh-huh.
And so you can just listen to that and it's just saying, I love myself. I love myself. I
No.
love myself.
No
It does,
way.
it does. And I just recently discovered it.
Wow, I didn't
Exactly.
know that. Oh,
Yeah, it's painful though. It's painful
oh.
because if you don't love yourself and
Yeah.
you feel like people don't love you or you haven't been loved properly, that's painful.
Yeah.
But you start to internalize it
Yeah.
and to be able to look in the mirror and be able to tell yourself that you love you.
Yes, I am beautiful. I'm hot. I'm hot. Ooh, I'm smart. Uh-huh. Yes, God is good. God has blessed me. I'm blessed going in and out the city. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I am blessed from the top of my head, from everywhere that my foot roam, my sole of my foot roam. I know it. And I'm saying this because you can know all that and still feel, so it starts, like she said, it starts with self first. Before you can heal and help fill your husband or your wife or your kids or anything, you have to take control first. Huh?
Exactly. You gotta
So,
take control.
mhm.
This journey of healing takes accountability.
Okay.
And I was sharing with Sandra before the show. We are here during this time period on purpose. And so this conversation is very intentional. You're supposed to get this conversation so you understand that you have a divine purpose and potential.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, because I feel like I'm getting the Holy Ghost or whatever, because we know that it's just something about her daughter who's coming on next too. But it's just something about this family, you and your daughter. It's something special, and but I realize what it's the a divine connection, and there's something special if you've ever never felt and been around or been involved in a divine connection. It's you can't describe it. And every time I'm around her and her daughter, even on the phone, is I have to get myself ready to talk to her because it's going to be something. And Lord, I'm letting you lead me and guide me with them. I'm start crying a little, but there's something here, and I thank God for y'all. I thank God for you guys for um, getting here because I knew it was a fight. All week it's been a fight for the other guests that tried to get here. But when I text you this morning, I had already been praying last night about, man, they're in war. So they may not make it, but that's okay. Let me give them an out. That's what I was doing.
Thank you for that, because it
It's giving
crossed
them
my
an out.
mind because I hadn't heard from you. I hadn't reached out, and we hadn't talked. We talked last week or whatever, and so yeah, I tend to, if I say that I'm gonna do something, I tend to do it.
Oh yeah.
But if I look,
The war
if I'm
thing.
late,
Mhm.
y'all just be patient with me.
Oh yeah, because
Because the spiritual war, and as the spiritual warrior for what I do and what God has called me to do, we get attacked.
yes. Oh, I know. So I said they're under warfare,
We
and they're
get
coming all the way from there. So that means they're gonna have a car to hop in front of this car. Then the lights gonna stop. I mean, it's just the things that I go through. I gotta constantly have my eyes working behind me because somebody may be coming from here. I mean, it's just. But like God said, everybody doesn't have this. This comes along with favor, of course, the favor of God. He equips us, and so my discernment is heightened. I know I can see people coming, even I know what's getting ready to happen. I mean, it's just a lot. So when I finally make it to where I'm going, where he's, I made it. So
Exactly. That's
they
how I felt
made it.
today.
They
That's how
made
I
it.
felt. And I wasn't gonna call you and tell you we was on our way or we were up the street or we were off. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. Because yesterday we had some car trouble and ended up being late to an event. And I was like, I'm not telling her I didn't tell you we were here till we were here.
Right. And I didn't call either. I didn't even call. I said, well, you know what? I'm just gonna, because I had this. That was 2 hours ago. I started this. I took. So you haven't been here an hour, but I started it. I said, so whenever they come, we'll start. And I'll edit everything. But I said, no, they're coming, and God already said they're coming. So I want to
And
thank
she's over
you.
there yawning.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
I know. So I thought we would do hers, but we'll do yours next week. But I just wanted to say thank you again. This is going to be one of our segments, part one, because I know we kind of brushed around things
Yeah.
today. So is there anything that this is part one for? God hasn't given me I've just said the Phoenix story.
Mhm.
So this is part one of Phoenix story. Um, and we will have another appointment to finish her her story. So, is there anything else that you'd like to say before we end this episode of the Phoenix story?
Well, so my government name is not Phoenix. Okay, so I go by Phoenix because it's an evolution. And so I have had to, as a matter of fact, I go by Phoenix Emmanuel on social media.
Yeah.
And so my name basically means that, okay, so the story of the phoenix rising from the ashes, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then the word Emmanuel in Hebrew means God with us. So my
Yes.
name means that God is with me during my constant state of evolution.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
that's
Yeah.
I'm
that's
doing the
beautiful.
thing. I'm doing the thing. And
Yes.
so the I shall bloom show.
Yes. This is
The name itself is such a God give because
okay.
no matter what you go through, you still have the ability to bloom. God
Yes.
wants you to bloom because you're a beautiful flower.
Yes.
And I'm like, every time I hear you say that I shall bloom, I'm like, that is so catchy. That's so cute. Okay, so there's that. And then this Wounded Rose series. Oh my gosh. I had some sound frequencies playing last night, like as I, tried to sleep or whatever. And I opened my eyes knowing that I was going to come here today. And one of the frequencies had a bouquet of roses on the screen.
Um,
And I was like,
yes, you go.
God, there you go again.
Yes. Oh, I love when he does those favorites, those little
Yes.
pieces of favor. You know what I mean? He shows you
Yeah.
so much when he gives it to you all at one time. So he gives it to little pieces of favors
Exactly.
and like, yes, you're my child. You're chosen.
Exactly.
Okay.
My wounded rose, you gonna bloom.
You go bloom.
You
'Cause I
blooming.
shall bloom.
You doing it,
You
girl.
shall bloom. And we all shall bloom.
Exactly. Show me how to do it again.
I shall
I shall
bloom.
bloom.
You
shall
shall
bloom.
bloom. We shall bloom
We shall bloom.
and blossom.
And blossom. Cute, y'all. That's cute.
God gave me that, y'all. I shall bloom. Oh, and then it's the I shall bloom show. It's the I shall bloom show.
I love it.
Yeah, it was like my producer. He was like, "You need to come up with a little jingle or whatever." So that's it. The I shall bloom show. The I shall bloom show.
Behind that.
It's I shall bloom show. Ooh, it's the I shall bloom show.
Don't
Go ahead, you need a jingle. How do I know? Because my God told me so. It's
Go,
the I
God.
shall bloom
Go,
show.
God.
It's the I shall bloom
Go,
show.
God. We did it. Go.
The I
Hey,
shall,
hey,
you shall,
hey.
we shall, and blossom. Blossom. All righty. Hey, you get a little of this and you get a little of that. But anyways,
Yes.
to reach me online, it's ishowbloom.com and also to the YouTube page, which is I Shall Bloom Talk Show. How can someone converse and reach you?
Thank you for asking.
Yes.
Okay, so I am Phoenix Emmanuel on Instagram and on Facebook, and I sell holistic products.
Yes.
Fragrance oils, right? So once I started to heal or starting to learn how to heal, I decided to help other people. So that's, it's not me. I was sent here to do this. So the name of our organization, our company, is called Prosperity Fragrance.
Prosperity fragrance. Prosperity fragrance. Now, come on.
Because when you prosper, you got a different smell.
Yeah, you smelling good, looking good. Because even God said, even as my soul, He said, I want you to prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prosper. Yeah.
Absolutely. So with Prosperity Fragrance online. So if you'd like to order, and thank y'all.
What's your Cash App and all that?
Oh, my Cash App. Oh, I was extra with the Cash App, y'all. So our Cash App right now is the number 4 and then the word opulence. So it's the number 4.
I love
OPULENCE.
Oh, I gotta change my all my passwords is opulence. Yeah, gotta change that now. Yeah, that's my password. Opulence.
A lot of people don't even know what that word means.
Girl, are you my?
Yes.
Yeah, you
I'm
are.
your spirit
I
animal,
know. Huh?
divine, whatever we are.
That's my passwords. I got to change them all now, but that's my word. I love that word opulence. That's when I put on my oils. I say it's opulence.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I can be around spiritual black woman, black women, and as a friend, you just don't know. Yeah.
don't know.
Just don't know. But you will know because you're on the I Shall Bloom show. The I Shall Bloom show. Okay, we cutting this out.
I know we're gonna start up again.
I know. Okay. All righty. Bye now.
Bye. I don't know if okay. I would had remembered the words for a second and then I forgot. Oh, I didn't even look at that camera. What's the? It was oh Lord, if I find favor in your sight, Lord, please hear my heart cry. I'm desperately waiting to be where you are. Across the hottest desert, I'll travel near or far for your glory. I will do anything just to see you, to behold you as my king. For your glory, I will do anything just to see you, to behold you as my king. Lord, if I find favor.
Amen. Amen. Yes. Give you glory. Yes. All right. That was awesome.